In this video, we'll set up our first automation using Notion. And the automation we're going to build is going to automate the process of getting feedback from our clients. So basically, we'll have a form that our clients can fill out, and then the answers of that form will actually be automatically sent to Notion, to a database in Notion that we have created, so that we can actually see the feedback in Notion and that we can centralize all the data in our Notion workspace. This is a really common workflow or use case when using Notion and trying to automate things in Notion. So let's dive right in and see how it works. All right, so for this to work, we have to do some basic prep work. And I have created this client feedback database so that we can get started quicker. The database is available in the description down below, so you can just download it and duplicate it into your workspace. But basically what we have here is just a really basic database. We have the name, then we have the checkbox if the person liked the call. We have a rating, which can be out of 10. We have a URL, and we have just some general feedback that this person can leave us, or any person that will fill out the form can leave us. Next, we actually need a form that we can use to build this automation. And for that, I'm using Typeform, which is an easy to use online survey and questionnaire builder, basically. And the great thing about this tool is that it also has a direct integration with Notion, and that's what we're going to be using in this video. So I'll leave a link to Typeform in the description down below as well, if you want to use that as well. You can also use any other tool for creating forms online, but then the integration is not going to be the same. I recommend, if you want to follow along with the course, to just use Typeform for this as well. So in Typeform, I've set up the questions that correspond to our database fields in our Notion database. So I have a name question, I have a did you enjoy our call question, the rating experience. So we'll actually do that out of 10. That will be what we want to do. We have the enter your website field and then the any other feedback field. And the important thing is that this exactly matches what we have in here. So we have the name field, we have this like the call field, and so on. And that's actually really important because we want to later map the fields from Typeform into our Notion database so that we can actually directly take the feedback that we get in Typeform and send that over to Notion using their direct integration. Let me show you how this works. So now that we have the Typeform set up, we can go to the Connect tab over here. And this is where we can set up any of the integrations that Typeform has. And we'll search for Notion as the integration. And you see that this is already enabled for me because I've already set this up. You will probably need to sign into your Notion account to basically connect the two tools together. And then you can actually get started with the setup. Now we have to do the field mapping. So we have to tell Typeform and Notion which fields kind of correlate to each other. And we can do that by clicking on this menu and then clicking on edit. And again, if you create this for the first time, this will come up automatically. So you have to connect your Typeform account, your Notion account, and then you can get started with the mapping here. Now it's added that for me already, but I'm going to clear that so that we can actually do this from scratch. Now, in here, you see this little menu, and we have these kind of mapping fields here. So here we have to select a Typeform question, and then we can select a field in Notion to map this to. So let's see how this works. This is the first question that we have, the please enter your name question. And we want to map that to the name field in Notion. Makes sense, right? And we'll do the same thing for the other questions as well. So the did you enjoy our call question, we'll map that to the like the call question in Notion. And you see these icons here. The icons actually tell you what kind of field it is. So here it tells you that this is a text field, while this is a true or false field. And they have to match up in order for this to work. Otherwise, you'll get an error and it will not work. So please be sure that you actually use the correct property types in Notion and also the correct questions in Typeform. Again, you can check the resources down below to find out if the one you're using is actually the correct one. All right, so now we'll do that for all the other questions as well. So we will have the rating and we'll map that to the rating over here. We have the please enter your website field. We map that to the URL. And then lastly, we have the any other feedback field, and we'll map that to the feedback field here as well. And now we just have to click on save mapping. And that's basically it. Now these two forms, so the form and the database, are connected. And if we now fill out this form, we should see the answers that we gave in the form inside of our Notion database. So in the client feedback, to demonstrate this, I'll actually just delete this one that we already have, this entry. And then we will go back in here and we'll click out on the form. So this will take us to the form. And here we can basically just enter some data. So let me just quickly do that. I'll just enter my name and I'll say I did enjoy the call. My rating would be 9 out of 10. And my website is janosworkspace.com. Okay. Any other feedback? In here, I'm just going to put my random text generator again, like that. And then click on submit. So I'm submitting the form. And now we should see this data inside of Notion. So let's go back and refresh the page. All right, and that's exactly what we wanted to have. So here you see we have the same entry that we just put in there, the same name, the like call, rating, URL, and then the feedback. And this will now work all the time. So if you send this out to 100 people, this form, and they all answered the form, you will have all the entries in your Notion account. And you can actually filter and sort them and, do whatever you want, just how you would do things in other Notion databases, because we set up this nice, neat integration. Now, it's not always quite as easy because some tools don't have a direct integration with Notion, and that's something we'll learn about in the next video.